Well, again, it is an absolute blessing and an honor to be here with you this morning, to be before you, and honored to be the servant that God has chosen today to give you this message. When I study, when I look, when I prepare, I really am drawn, and I say this with all sincerity, I am drawn to the simplicity of the teachings of Jesus. He just lays it right out. I mean, we just don't really have to have a whole lot of confusion when it comes to the things, the stories, the illustrations, the life applicable things. They all work. All of these things work because we get them. We use them. They're part of what we do. They're part of daily life. I mean, the things that we've been talking about, bread, that's filling. It satisfies. It provides light. It gives clarity. It gives direction. And it exposes darkness. Today, we continue that. We continue that theme. We continue that idea, that understanding of the simplicity by looking at I am the door. Now, again, that's a very simple statement, a very clear statement that we really don't have a whole lot of difficulty in understanding, right? Regardless of our life experience. Doesn't matter if we're young or old or somewhere in between. It doesn't matter our level of education or what our title might be. Everybody knows what a door is. And everybody knows what the function of that door is. That is just one of those things. The beauty of this simple message is that anyone who would listen, anyone who would receive what is being said, the beauty of this is amazing. Because when we see a door, we immediately know what that is. We know that it is an entrance or an exit into a room or a building. We all know that. Building, house, whatever the case. We know that. It's whatever the structure may be. That is how we get in. That is how we get out. It's all there. It's just not difficult. What's important, though, is to know where it's at, right? When we go into a place, we want to know where that is. How do we get in there? And if you're like me, when I go in, I want to know how to get out too, right? We don't want to be trapped in there. We want to know what is the whole thing? How do we get in? How do we get out? As with all things and all principles, we learn practical application. That's how it all works. The things that we've learned, how do we use them? And in this particular realm, how was it used spiritually? How was it used to advance our life? How was this used to make our life better? Once again, we turn to the teachings of Jesus. In verse 7, Jesus said, I am the door of the sheep. Now, there's two parts to this. Well, I want us to understand. Number one is the word the, or the, depending on how you want to say it. All right, I am the door. I am the door. Okay, we'll go with both versions to see whichever side anybody likes that. He's saying here, I'm not a door. I am not one of many, but I am the door. There's a big difference in how those two words are used, okay? Because there's a lot of things, there's a lot of examples, there's a lot of different things that can be multiple levels of stuff. But Jesus is not saying that. He is saying, if you desire to enter into where I speak of, if you desire to get into the place that I speak of, I'm how you get there. Now, I'm not a way, I am the way. And there's a big difference in understanding that as we look at all the things that we're constantly having poured before us of multiple examples and multiple illustrations. This makes his door exclusive. There's only one. There's only one. Well, what does that door, what does that cover? What does this mean? He is the door to so many things. He is the entryway into so many things that we desperately need. Jesus is the door to forgiveness. We enter his door and we exit condemnation. How many of us struggle with feeling forgived? You know, we've carried this weight around, or we've carried that around, we've done this, we've done that, and we're not here to put all that out there. But Jesus, when we enter into his door, we exit that condemnation. And we come into his blessed grace. We come into his graceful arms. John 3:17 very clearly says, God sent not his son into the world to condemn the world, but that the whole world through him, that's entering the door, might be saved. What a beautiful statement, right? That we don't have to carry that stuff around anymore. And as we get older, that bag gets a little heavier, right? And we want to get rid of that stuff. We don't want to keep carrying that around. We see this beauty that he says, I am the door. I'm the way that you get in. We have sayings like, well, one door closes and another door opens. As we enter the door, we enter a brand new beginning. Can we understand that today? That when we come in through the door of Christ, we enter that new beginning. How many of us need a new beginning? Everybody needs one at some point in time in life. We all need a fresh start. Everybody needs a new perspective, a new idea, a new this. But how many search, if we look through life, if we understand all the things that are placed before us, how many are searching behind all the wrong doors? Because they're seeing this plethora of doors, this multitude of doors all over the place. The door is singular. There's only one. The door. That's why it is not one of many. He says, I, again, singular. I am the door. I'm not multiple choice. Jesus is the door to forgiveness and renewal, which makes him the door to life. He is the life. Jesus, in the door of Jesus, represents the life that he came to give, right? We see clearly in Scripture, he said he came to give life and it more abundantly. He is the entryway into that. He is how we have that, the life that he came to give, the life that he died for us to have. By him and through him, we can enter into that life. We only stand on the outside of that looking, oh, I wish I could have that. How do I get in there? How do I have that? Jesus said, come to me. Come through me. We enter into life and we exit death. Think of how beautiful that is. We enter into life and we exit death because this new creation that God has made, it says the old things have passed away. We've left that behind. We don't keep dragging that along with us. We don't have it tethered to our ankle where we keep trying to, carry it with us. No, leave that there. It's gone. Come through the new door. Receive the new life. We sing songs about heaven. We sing songs about eternity when we all get to heaven and what a glorious day. We sing all these different things. We sing about the hereafter and all these different parts of the journey. But how do we get there? I had someone ask me that question not long ago. What's it going to be like in heaven? Is it going to be this and is it going to be that? And I was very honest with them. I said, I have no idea. But I can tell you how to get there. And that's important that we understand that this is the door. How do we get there? Jesus said, I am the door. I am the door. John 14:6, he says, no one comes into the Father. That means there's no exemptions. That means there's no exceptions. That means there's no other door. There's only one way. He said, no one comes into the Father but by me. We enter into heaven and we exit the road to hell. Now that's a blunt statement. That's harsh. That's whatever. But that's reality. There's only one of two choices when it comes to eternity, right? This is not Baskin Robbins where we got 31 flavors, 31 opportunities. No, he's saying this is how it's going to work. You come through the door if you want eternity with me. You can reject that. You don't have to turn on that light. You don't have to receive the bread of life. You don't have to have the light of the world. You don't have to go through my door. But the other result is depart from me. I never knew you. See, the world don't want to hear that today. The world, everybody dies, everybody makes it. That's not what Scripture says. And we have to be honest about that. So-and-so was so wonderful and they did this and they did that, but did they know Jesus? I don't say that to be judgmental or critical, but that's real, friends. That's real. I could have lost count of how many services I have presided over, memorials, funerals, what have you, and multitudes of them did not know. They did not know. And that was a very hopeless situation. You could feel it in the room. It was just a heaviness that was just there. There was no peace in the family. Okay, there was no peace in that. While grief is always going to be there in the loss of a loved one, but when you know where they are, and I'm going to get to see grandma again, or I'm going to get to see my best friend again, there's something joyful about that. They made it through the door. Jesus said, if you want to exit the things of this world, and you want to come to where I'm talking of, I am the door. 1 John 5:12, he who has the Son has life, the one who's gone through the door. And he who has not the Son of God, the one who has not opened the door, the one who says no, it says has not life. In other words, they remain in death. That's a powerful thing when we begin to realize that, because a door, if we use that illustration to understand a door, that gives us a choice. I can go in or I don't have to. We stand at the front of a business, and we have the option. I can go in that place of business and do business, or I don't have to. The door gives me that opportunity. It's the same way with everything else. The door. When we understand that concept, the door, only one, we see by this one offering. One offering, we can be sure. In other words, it removes doubt. How do I get to where God has wanted me to go? How do I get to the things that God has promised? There's one way. I don't have to. So I know if I go through Jesus, because he said, no one comes to the Father but by me. When I go through him, I don't have to have any doubt anymore. I don't have to have any fear that I've made the wrong choice. I don't have to have any worry that I've chosen wrong. None of those things. I know that in Jesus, I've got the answer. That's why he says, I am the bread of life. I am the light of the world. I am the door. He's trying to get everyone to understand through this teaching, this doesn't have to be hard. This doesn't have to be difficult. But what does that require on our part? That we learn to trust him. We learn to know him. We know that he would never lead us wrong. We know that he would never give us false information. 1 John 5:13, these things have I written unto you who believe on the name of the Son of God. In other words, you've seen the open door and you've entered, that you may know that you have eternal life and that you may believe on the name of the Son of God. Doubt is removed. You'll know that you went through the right door because he is the door, not a door. And that's really important because, again, when we look at all the different things that are presented to us on a daily basis, this is an opportunity. This is a choice. This is that. We have all these different things, but Jesus said, no, that's me. I am the door. I am how you get there. I am the door to wisdom. I am the door to knowledge. I am the door to all these different things, because when we come to know him, he will lead and guide us. He says that I leave not you alone. I leave you with a helper. He gives us the Holy Spirit to lead and guide us, to show us if we will let him work through our life, friends. The clarity is so beautiful about I am the door, because it eliminates all the other options. You don't have to look at, again, I referenced this, I think it was on a Wednesday night not long ago, but it's like the old show, Let's Make a Deal. I don't know about the new one. I've not seen that one. But I go back to the Monty Hall days, so I'm the old guy in the room. But when we look at the choices, there was door B, door A, whatever, 1, 2, 3, all these different ones. Well, which one do you pick? Well, I don't know. This one might have a new car, and this one might have a goat, and this one might have a bottle of Sprite or so. I don't know. We have all these different opportunities. But Jesus said, I am the door. If you want the right choice when it comes to your eternity, if you want the right choice when it comes to your future, for your salvation, for your wisdom, all that, I'm there. I am the door. I just love the simplicity of that, the doubt being removed. Because how many things do we question now? The question mark is behind everything. We worry about this. Did I make the right decision? How many of us have walked away from signing a deal? Oh man, did I do the right thing? Or starting, somewhere, or buying something, and then you say, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. We all live with that. That's a daily thing. But we don't want that when it comes to our spiritual life. We want to know. We need to know. We don't need to keep searching all over the place, looking here and looking there, because Jesus is the answer. It's very, very clear. The door, verse 8, he says, all who came before me are thieves and robbers. And what is he saying here? He is saying, I'm not here to waste your time. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm not here to take from you like others have. He's talking about the false methods that are sometimes out there, the gimmicks, the tricks, the empty promises, all that he's saying. Here's the truth. We live in a world where sometimes truth is speculative. Truth is by the one giving it or whatever. But sometimes we have the old saying, the truth hurts. But sometimes, facts, we need the truth, right? We just need to know. Again, if you go to the doctor and you got some issue, you don't need them to waste time to dance around and say, well, it might be this or it might be. No, just tell me what it is. Just tell me what it is so we can just deal with it. If I've got something wrong with my foot, I don't need you to tell me what kind of hat I'm wearing. I want to deal with the issue. And Jesus is saying, I'm not coming to you with all these things. I'm not bringing you smoke and mirrors. I'm the answer. I'm the truth. I am the door. Because the truth is, what Jesus is saying is, if you desire salvation, if you want to know that your eternity is secure, you want to know that this has been settled, that's what I bring you. That's what I offer you. I am the door. I'm how you get there. I am the way. I am the one that can access you and give you and grant you the access to these things. We have to understand how important that is. We have to understand how important it is because we're always looking for stuff, right? Whether it's something we've misplaced or whether it's an answer to an important question. Well, in life, of course, that's all kinds of different things, work and career and relationships and all these other things. But there comes a point in time that we have to address eternity. Whether it's at death's door or whether it's when you get bad news from the doctor or you've seen a tragedy and you stop and think, wait a minute, that could have been me. There comes a point in time that death and eternity and all that stuff becomes a reality. There's just no way around it. That's not to be morbid or grim. That's just real. I think about that sometimes, even as a pastor, and again, I've presided over hundreds and hundreds of memorials and funerals. It's just one of those things that just happened over the years. And I sometimes feel almost depleted after those. And I go home and really process that through my mind and say, wow, that is real. I got to be sure. Not that I doubt my salvation. I know that that's solid. I know that that's there. But facing it, looking at it, knowing that is real. All the tragedies I saw on the road and the death and dismemberment and all the horror things that were there, that was real. We see people today looking for answers and they're searching. And as we've said many times, in all the wrong places. Jesus is saying, I am the door. I am how you get there. Understanding that is so important because if we want something, think about it this way. If you want something that is sold exclusively at Walmart, all right, let's just say they're the only place on this earth that has it. You can't get it anywhere else. You can't get it on eBay. Amazon won't bring it to you. You can't go, no, they are the only ones that have it. Why would you look anywhere else? Why would you waste time driving around town, maybe just in case? Maybe somebody got, I don't know if you've got a store right here, but there's a place called Ollie's, and they get multiple surplus from other places that go out of business or whatever. Maybe they might. No, this is the only place you can get it. Why would we waste time looking around? Maybe that's the answer. Maybe this is the answer. You've used precious fuel, you used time, you used resources when you knew where it was at. That's what Jesus is saying. I didn't come to you to be like a thief and a robber. I didn't come to take something from you. I didn't come to present you with a falsity. I didn't come to waste your time. I'm the door. I'm how you get there. I just love the clarity of that because when we know where it's at, why do we look anywhere else? But we do it all the time. Well, maybe it's somewhere. Maybe I can get a different one over here. Maybe I can get a better one over there. Maybe I can save 5 cents over here. I knew a guy one time that ran out of gas because the gas station was right in front of him. But the gas station a mile and a half up the road was 2 cents cheaper. I get a better deal. He was walking to the end. Jesus said, I got it. I've got what you need, and it's right here. You don't have to look nowhere else. You don't have to go anywhere else. You don't have to run out of gas. I got it right here. He said, the sheep did not hear them. Speaking of the thief and the robber. In other words, if you trust me, if you really trust me, you stop looking everywhere else. If you trust me, you don't have to look anywhere else because you know where the answer is, and you stop looking and you stop listening for answers around the other doors because you know that they're not there. You know that they're not there because you know there's only one place that it exists. One door to forgiveness, one door to grace and mercy, one door to new life, one door that lets us start over, one door to heaven, one door to the promise of God, one door to eternal life with Him. No tricks, no rituals, no gimmicks, no traditions, no raffle tickets, no lotteries, just Jesus. Don't that make you feel good? Don't that make you just want to say, yeah? I mean, that's the clarity that we want. Don't we wish that everything in life could be that clear, that everything could be that simple? The most important thing in life is where the next one's going to be. This life is a journey, friends. It's a training ground, if you will. What's next? How do we do this? How do we do that? How do we get there? In the process of getting to Him, let's be more like Him. Amen. In the process of getting to Him, let's let others see they can go too. You know, I had a guy ask me years ago, what's the best thing, or what is better, I should say, than going to heaven? Well, most people will say, well, nothing. I mean, what could ever be better than going to heaven? And he says, there's one thing. And he said, I'm going to come back next week and we're going to talk about it. An old-time pastor friend of mine. And I'm like, I thought about that thing all week long, and I couldn't figure out the answer. And he came back, he said, there's one thing better than going to heaven, taking somebody with you. So I got out my notebook, and buddy, we started writing. There was a new sermon right there, because that was what he was saying. This is what Jesus said. I'm not bringing anything else. I'm not wasting your time. I'm not bringing you junk and gimmicks. So many doors exist today. Not just physically, literally all over the place in buildings, but so many opportunities exist today. You can create your own. I'm going to figure it out my own way. We can go along with the newest trends and the newest fads. Oh, that's the way we do it now. They used to do it this way, but we're going to do it this way now. Well, that way's old. Okay, we're going to find a new way, and we're going to add this, and we're going to do that. Here's the problem. All of the other doors ultimately lead to the same place, failure. They don't work because they're trying to get somewhere they can't get. They're trying to gain entry into a place they can't get, because trying to obtain fulfillment goes back to our first lesson. I am the bread of life. I'm the only one that can give you the real fulfillment that you're looking for. I'm the only one that can fill me up. I'm the only one that can take care of that. I'm the only one that can give you the light to show you where to go. And when that tells you where to go, I'm the door of how you get in. See how it all blends together, how it all works together? This is what Jesus is trying to say. Every other way that's trying to show you a different way. This is where the thief and the robber comes. Well, that didn't work this time, but for easy payments in 1995, I can show you how to get to the other place. That didn't work. My other one fell apart the minute you used it. You know, my Whopper chopper. As soon as you put the onion in there, it fell all to pieces. It's no good. But I got a new improved one this week. Well, why would I trust you? The last one you had was junk. Why would I trust you for the next? We see it all the time. We see it all the time. There was a guy, and I'm not going to give names, but there was a guy on TV many years ago that ended up in federal prison for lying and scamming people, okay? Fleeced people out of millions and millions of dollars. At one point in time, he even claimed they made $1 million a day. $1 million. He went to prison over this. Got out, wrote a book. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was wrong. 2 years later, doing the same thing. Same thing. That's not what Jesus offers. He said, I'm the door. I'm the answer. Anything else is trying to give you fulfillment. Anything else is trying to lead you to me is a thief and a liar. He said they're just not giving you what you need, because when you're looking for the answer, in particular for spiritual matters, there's only one place. Acts chapter 4 is very clear about that. It says, neither is there salvation in any other. That doesn't exist anywhere else, for there is no other name under heaven given among men whereby we must be saved. Clear. There's no gray area there, right? I mean, it's just, he says, I am the door. Are we saying? Are we seeing this today, friends? Are we understanding the beauty of this? He's saying everything else, I am the door. He's saying anything else is a counterfeit. They're not real. He said, don't go through that. because that's not going to lead you to somewhere else. It could be down a bad path. It could be to open the door and don't look. And I mean, it could be one of the cartoon moments, straight down some valley somewhere, something awful. He's saying, I would never do that to you because I love you. I wouldn't harm you. Time is precious. I wouldn't waste your time because I want you to use that time to create something important in your life so that you show me to others. You're mine. We think about that through the eyes of our children. We want to open the doors to them for the best things. They're not always going to go down those roads. We didn't either. But God is offering us that opportunity too. He said, here is the door, the only door. And he says it is open to all. There's a beautiful word there too. To all who believe. Verse 9, if anyone enters in, they shall be saved. Man, I love that. He said that's a promise from God. And God can't break promises because God doesn't lie. He says, if you enter in, you shall be saved. The invitation is open to all. Everybody who will come through the door, the whosoever, if you will, all who have fallen short. That's all of us, right? He said, if you come in the door, if you come in my door, if you come in the only door, he says, you shall be saved. John 6:37 says, all who the Father gives me, that's all, right? He says, all of you. He says, I'll never cast you out. You're mine. Romans 10:12 says, for there is no difference between the Jew and the Greek. For the same Lord is over all, the rich and all to call upon him. All these are just affirmation scriptures back to what we're talking about here today from John. Jesus says, I am the door. I'm how you get there. There's only one way. There's a clarity. Now, people want to argue about that. Well, what about this group? And what about that group? And this one believes this. Jesus said, I am the door. There's no but there. There's no exception there. There's no, well, if you choose. No, I am the door. Choice is yours. You get to go in or not. You don't have to, but it's open. There's no lock on it. There's no combination to it. There's no memory pad. You can come in. It's right there. Upon entry, what do we find? When we go in a house or we go in a store, when we enter that place, we find the contents, right? We find what's in there. We find what's for sale, what's to eat, whether it's safe, whether it's dangerous. In Jesus, we find salvation for our soul. We find rest for our weary minds and body. He says, I am the door. This is so important, friends. I can't stress this enough. And it's not to be a broken record or just repetitive, just to be repetitive. This is the answer. As we look through all of these statements of, I am, when we look through what he's saying here, this is the key. He said, if you want to get to where I'm at and you want to continue to go where we're going, I'm the way you get there. And so when we understand that, if is the key word. He said, if anyone enter, they shall be saved. If, as we talked about before, is where it all starts. That's me. That's my choice. If I go in, that's where I'm going. If I choose not to, then I'm not going in there, right? It's like standing on the outside of a business. I sure wish I knew what was inside of there. Well, the door's right there. You can go in and see for yourself. Well, I don't know. And we walk around and pace back and forth and we go back to the car. And we back. Just go in and you'll see. This is what Jesus is saying. I'm the door. If you want to know the things of God, if you want to be where I'm at and where I'm going, this is how you get there. It just eliminates all that. If, shall, that's an affirmative word. There's no doubt. Saved, that means rescued. That means given a new life, sheltered in the arms of God. That's what he's offering everybody. All of us here, I want to believe this morning, have done that. Maybe someone listening has not. Maybe someone here this morning is thinking, well, I'm not sure. Jesus said, you can be sure. You don't have to have any doubt anymore. You don't have to worry about that anymore. You can become part of the family of God. You can see the truth. See, truth recognizes evil for what it is. Truth recognizes that evil is a thief and a liar. See, he here makes it clear that the enemy, who is the false door, if you will, a false way, has one goal. One. That is to take away what is not his. He said he is a thief and a robber and a killer, right? He said he seeks to steal in verse 10. He comes not. This is the only reason that he comes. The only reason is to steal, to kill, and destroy. Steal. He wants to take what is not his. That's your soul. It's not his to take. God gave you that. He wants to kill. He wants to remove life from you. Not necessarily your breathing ability, but he wants you just to sit there. I have nothing to live for. I give up. It's hopeless. There's no reason to keep functioning. How many people do we know that are in that place right now? I know a whole bunch of them. I talk to them a lot, and they can't see anything beyond the dark veil that's before their eyes. Life's over. I've got no reason to live. This didn't work out the way that I wanted it to. This didn't go my way. This person did me wrong. And the list just gets long and longer and longer and longer. You know, the cat fell over. I got all these different reasons to give up. That's the enemy. He wants to kill our will to live. And then he wants to destroy. He wants to render something useless. He wants to remove our witness. See, he doesn't care that you're here this morning. He doesn't care if you own 10 Bibles and if you read them every day, as long as you never tell nobody about Jesus. Think about the Pharisees. The reason that they fussed at the apostles when they were teaching, why? Not because they were doing anything wrong. They were teaching in the name of Jesus, and it was changing people's lives. And they said, you can keep teaching, but you got to leave him out. What world are we living in today? That same one, right? You can do whatever you want. You can gather here, but don't change anybody's life. Don't tell anybody about being delivered and being set free. That's what the enemy wants. He wants to remove our witness. So if he steals our joy and he steals our desire, if he kills our willingness to do anything, then my witness is what? Nothing. Because I got nothing to witness. I got nothing to show. I got nothing to tell anybody about. Yeah, Jesus saved me. But oh man, my house burned down, my dog ran away, everything went wrong. Well, no, this is not an old sad country song. No, this is real. When Jesus changes my life, I went through the door. Man, eternity, heaven's my home. That ought to make us want to shout. That ought to make us, yes, life is difficult. Nothing always works the way that we want it to. But look at the example of Jesus. He grew up from being born in the stable and did the different things like that. And while it was God's plan and God's prophecy being fulfilled, did everything go from the human side of things? Well, no, not at all. He was mocked and ridiculed and rejected. All the things that we struggle with, because nobody wants to be rejected. Everybody wants to be liked. Everybody wants to be appreciated and adulated and all these other things. But Jesus is our example. And he tells us that, but he's saying, I'm the door of how you get where you want to be. I am the answer. The enemy is only coming to take it all away from you. And that's not gloom and doom. That's not conspiracy theories. That's real. Because the enemy, why would he want to take those things away? Because in Jesus we find strength. In Jesus, we find unity and harmony together. Why do we think the church is so divided across the world today? Because divided, we accomplish nothing. Why is families divided today? Because unity is where strength is, right? We see people dispersed and broken up all over the place, all over the world in so many different ways. Jesus is the door. It all comes back to this. Be careful of false labels. Be careful of false signs and words and cheap replicas. Get the real thing. So somebody hands you something and you know what the real one is, and they hand you a cheap copy or a replica or something, you know the difference, right? You just immediately know. Whether it's something you've ate your whole life or drank your whole life or a particular style of jewelry or anything, you just know. You just know that it's not real, and you may be grateful or whatever, but you know that it's not the same thing. You're not going to trick anybody. You can doctor it up, you can paint it, but you know that it's not the real thing because maybe you know the story of it or maybe you know the quality of it. Jesus says, come as you are and enter and leave behind what keeps you away. In other words, when you come through the door, the old you stays on this side and the new you exists over there. Let him give you the bread of life. Let him show you the light of the world. Let him greet you at the door. Let him greet you at the door because he is the door. And within him there is no doubt. No doubt as to whether we found the answer or not. In him there is clarity. In him there is beauty. In him there is truth. There is truth, friends. When just like that says, when Christ is our door, there's no doubt. Everything about this life, again, is skeptical and speculative and all these other things. But in Jesus, there's not. And he gives us the answers for life, both now and later. You know, how do I survive it? How do I make it now? And how do I know that it's going to be okay when this one's over and the new one starts? He makes it clear. So will you come in? Will you come in? If you know somebody that's not there, will you invite them in? Or do we just keep looking around just to make sure? You know, we found what we wanted, but I'm going to scroll down a few more pages to see if I can see something else. But the one that you wanted is up here. Jesus says, I am the door. There is no other. There is no other answer. There is no other place. He is waiting at the door because he is the door. He wants to give life and it more abundantly. I say to all of us this morning, if you are here and you've entered into this door, are you living the life that he came to give? That's a valid question for all of us. Am I living the life, the abundant life that he came to give? That doesn't mean prosperity and bigger bank accounts and the biggest house in town. Those things are fine if you're able to obtain that. But what he's saying is, are you allowing me to live through you so that you don't have doubt and worry and fear and all these other things that rob you of joy? How many people do we know that are just eat up with anxiety? You know, and depression and oppression and all these other essions that, you know, that are out there, you know, and we see that. A pill didn't fix it, I still got a problem. This didn't fix it, I still got a problem. That's because there's only one answer, and his name is Jesus. And I stand on that. I do, because life is a struggle, but I believe when Jesus says, I am the door, he is the answer to everything if we just go through him. If we just and understand, if we're entering into that door, are we living the life that he came to give? And if not, then I think the other question is this: what is keeping me from turning the knob? I'm standing there, I'm looking at it. What is keeping me from pressing the bar or turning that handle? What is keeping me from going in? I am the door. He says, all who enter shall be saved. Think about the beauty of that message.